Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Brothers, please come forward, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wahda wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dah. Amma ba'd. So we're going through a brief historical account of what took place after the demise of Sayyidina Muawiyyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and how he accepted and he appointed his son Yazeed as the Khalifa after him. And throughout the period of the Khilafah, again the 20-year period of Khilafah of Sayyidina Muawiyyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the Muslim world and empire started to go back to normal, in the sense that there were no two different parties like what existed after the martyrdom of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where the ummah split into two. Wherever the Khawarij, the group of Abdullah bin Sabah, the rebels, wherever they tried to oppose Muawiyyah radiallahu anhu, he would get rid of them. So he passes away and Yazeed becomes the Khalifa. Now people throughout the Islamic lands start to give bay'ah to Yazeed. And like I mentioned, in Madinatul Munawwara we have Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Abdullah bin Zubair radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, who refused to give bay'ah. They travel to Makkatul Mukarramah. When they go to Makkatul Mukarramah, they have a group of supporters who are ready to give bay'ah to anyone whom Abdullah bin Zubair or Hussein radiallahu anhu say to give bay'ah to. So they have a stronghold. And the governor on behalf of Yazeed in Makkatul Mukarramah has no power or authority over the Makkans and over Abdullah bin Zubair and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala. So Yazeed, again powerless in Makkah, the governor of the time in Madinatul Munawwara, again powerless, not ready to do anything opposing Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the letters start flooding into Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu from Kufa. And as mentioned yesterday, up to 150 letters reached Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu to come to Kufa. They will support him. And this is where Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu started to consider going to Kufa. So the Kufans, they not only wrote letters to Hussein radiallahu anhu, they would send people to Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu that come, we will support you. Your support, whatever you say, if you become the Khalifa, then this would be greater benefit for the Muslims. Now Hussein radiallahu anhu, he first wanted to test the water, so he sent his cousin, Muslim bin Aqil bin Abi Talib. Right? He sent him to Kufa to see whether what the Kufans are saying are true. So when Muslim bin Aqil goes there, we find that he is accepted. Rather, 12,000 people give bay'ah to him, to Muslim bin Aqil. The number grows to 18,000, right? And within these 18,000 men, there are of course the women and the children. So huge number of supporters are found with Muslim bin Aqil. Now, Muslim bin Aqil, he reports to Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he says that you should come to Kufa because you have a huge number of supporters. Now remember, whilst this is going on, there are people who are loyal to Yazeed because he is the Khalifa. And in Kufa, the governor appointed by Yazeed, appointed by Muawiyyah radiallahu anhu at that time, was Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu ta'ala, the Sahabi. When people reported to Nu'man bin Bashir that Hussein radiallahu is doing this and Muslim bin Aqil is here, he's taking bay'ah. Nu'man bin Bashir, he stayed out of this. He said, as long as they don't rebel with the sword, I'm not going to say or do anything to them. And Yazeed in Sham, he's getting worried that, of course, he doesn't want a replay of what has happened in history. He doesn't want the ummah to split. So, like I mentioned yesterday, with the mashwara and consultation of Sirjun, the ex-Christian, Arab Christian, who gave him the mashwara that he should appoint Ubaidullah bin Ziyad bin Abi Sufyan as the governor of Basra and Kufa. And just to remind everyone, Ubaidullah bin Ziyad bin Abihi, right? He was the brother of Muawiyyah radiallahu anhu and the son of Abu Sufyan, who was born out of wedlock, right, before marriage. This was pre-Islam. Both Ziyad and Ubaidullah bin Ziyad were very harsh, cruel people. They were not good. And because of this, the people did not like them, but the people did whatever they wanted, whatever he wanted them to do. And Yazeed, he wasn't happy with the leadership of Ubaidullah bin Ziyad in Basra. And there were rumors going that he was going to remove Ubaidullah bin Ziyad from the position of governing over Basra. But then when Yazeed saw that Muslim bin Aqil is, gone to Kufa and so many people are giving bay'ah, and then he heard the news that Hussein radiallahu anhu is planning to actually come to Kufa himself. Then he felt pressured into taking the mashwara of making Ubaidullah bin Ziyad the governor of Kufa as well. Because Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu anhu is not going to do anything about this. So then he sends the news to Ubaidullah bin Ziyad that you need to take control over the city of Kufa. Hussein bin Ali radiallahu anhu is coming. But Yazeed, again, Sahih authentic narrations, Yazeed, when he makes him the ruler of Kufa, he specifically mentions that nothing should happen to Hussein and his family. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But your mission and your target is that don't let Hussein radiallahu anhu enter Kufa. Because if he enters Kufa, that's the end of, that's the beginning of a rebellion. So this was what Ubaidullah bin Ziyad was tasked to do by Yazeed. Now Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, he was a very cruel man, very bad man, but he was also intelligent to the extent that the way he took control over Kufa was that he knew the people of Kufa were expecting Hussein radiallahu anhu. Now he had a choice to go into Kufa with a huge army, right? But again, he wanted to stay away from warfare. He didn't want to fight Muslims. He didn't want to have war. So instead, he kept his army, and with a very small number of people, according to some narration, 17, he went into Kufa. But before he went into Kufa, right, he wore a turban, how the people of Hijjaz wear the turban, and he covered his face. And he entered Kufa like this. In the first instance, when the people of Kufa saw him and his entourage coming, they first thought this was Hussein bin Ali radiallahu ta'ala. So the people of Kufa started to welcome him, saying, "Oh, the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, welcome." Right? He's not replying to anyone, and he goes straight to the palace of the governor, where Nu'man bin Bashir radiallahu ta'ala is. So when he goes to Nu'man bin Bashir, of course, Nu'man bin Bashir first thinks that this is Hussein radiallahu anhu himself. And he says to him, "Ya Hussein, I have nothing to do with this politics. I don't want to get involved as well." So that's when he shows himself to Nu'man bin Bashir, and he says to him that Yazeed has made me governor over Kufa. And of course, Nu'man bin Bashir, he would listen to the Khalif of the time, and he lets Ubaidullah bin Ziyad take over Kufa. Now we know that there were people in Kufa who were in the party of Hussein radiallahu ta'ala and who were giving support to Muslim bin Aqil. And like I mentioned, the numbers go up to 18,000 and including the whole family up to 100,000. Now, Kufa is under the control of Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, the tyrant. Now, the way he needs to get rid of this fitna in his eyes is he needs to find out where Muslim bin Aqil is. He needs to find out where Muslim bin Aqil is. So what he does is that he goes around asking people, where is Muslim bin Aqil? And the people are not ready to sell out Muslim bin Aqil because, of course, they love him and they love the family of Hussein radiallahu ta'ala. And according to one narration, what he does is he pays somebody 3,000 dinars and he says that go to the house of Hani, who was protecting Muslim bin Aqil. Muslim bin Aqil was staying somewhere separately, but whoever wanted to come to give bay'ah, they would go to Hani and they would go to him, and then he would send them to Muslim bin Aqil. So he paid somebody and said, go with 3,000 dinar and say that you want to give bay'ah to Hussein bin Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and that you have a gift of giving 3,000 dinar. So this person goes to Hani and he says, I want to give bay'ah. So he goes, fine, you can give bay'ah. And he goes, I have a gift of 3,000 dinar and I want to only hand this over personally to Muslim bin Aqil. So of course, they are a small group and they need the support, they need the financial support. He goes, okay, I'll take you to the house where Muslim bin Aqil is staying. He goes there, he finds out the location, he gives the 3,000 dinar, and he goes back and he reports to Ubaydullah bin Ziyad that this is exactly where Muslim bin Aqil is. Now, as soon as he finds out that Muslim bin Aqil is in such and such house, the first thing Ubaydullah bin Ziyad does is, from the supporters, he calls out Hani and he brings him to the palace and says that, where is Muslim bin Aqil? I know you are hiding him. Of course, being a loyal person to Muslim bin Aqil, he says, I don't know where he is. So then that person he used, right, to go and give the 3,000 dinar, he calls him out and says, speak to him now, right? And then at that point, he knows that, he's been caught, but he still doesn't sell out the location of Muslim bin Aqil and he's imprisoned. By this time, because there's a huge commotion in Kufa that this individual has been imprisoned, Muslim bin Aqil comes to find out, right, and he escapes, right? He leaves the home where he was hiding and he comes out into public. And Muslim bin Aqil knows by this point that he has nothing. The only choice he has is to gather his men and attack Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. And the reason why is because Ubaydullah bin Ziyad has entered Kufa with only a handful of people, right? And they have an army of 18,000. And this is easy for them. So Muslim bin Aqil, he goes out to the people of Kufa and he announces and he says to them that they have your men and they have killed him. This was the rumor that had spread. And he says that, who is with me to go and oppose Ubaydullah bin Ziyad, right? Now those 18,000 men, they all start to disappear because they're all scared of Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. According to the narrations, after making the speech, right, those 18,000 people dropped to 4,000, and these 4,000 were youngsters, right? So he goes in front of the palace with these 4,000 youngsters. Ubaydullah bin Ziyad ruthlessly starts to send arrows towards them. And now these youngsters, the parents, the fathers, the mothers, go to these youngsters who are with Muslim bin Aqil, say, why do you need to be with him? He has other people. Slowly like this, they pull away the youngsters from Muslim bin Aqil. And according to the narrations, by night time, Muslim bin Aqil, he was leading Maghrib Salah and he only had 10 people behind him. So everyone from the 18,000 men that wanted to support Muslim bin Aqil and Hussein radiallahu anhu, they all disappeared and they were not loyal to Muslim bin Aqil and he was by himself. By the end of it, we find Muslim bin Aqil, he had no supporters. He escaped from the area and he went to somebody's house and he asked if he can stay there. A woman opened the door, she welcomed him, entertained him, hosted him, and said, "You are from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Right? Aqil radiallahu anhu. Aqil was the son of Abu Talib. Right? So remember, who are the Ahlul Bayt? Who are the Ahlul Bayt? Anyone? Who are Ahlul Bayt? Yes. Ubaidah. Family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Very good answer, mashallah. Who are Ahlul Bayt? We all love Ahlul Bayt, of course. Part of our iman that we love Ahlul Bayt. Our iman isn't proper until we love the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But who consists of the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes? Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Sorry? Sayyidah Khadija is from Ahlul Bayt. But I want a more generic, like you can say the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, number one, the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are from Ahlul Bayt. Who else are from Ahlul Bayt? All the Sahaba? No? Sorry? Ahlul Aqil. Because I said Muslim bin Aqil. You're not wrong, but come on. The daughter, of course, yes. The daughters and the daughter, the only daughter that was alive was Fatima radiallahu anha, was from Ahlul Bayt. Very good. Who else? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was not from Ahlul Bayt. The grandsons, of course, they come from the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hassan and Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Ahlul Bayt. So we have the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have the children of Rasulullah, grandchildren come under that, are from Ahlul Bayt. Who else are from Ahlul Bayt?